Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Mojlum.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Thank you very much for joining me today. I know we've been waiting for a while for this, but you're so busy doing your volunteering work, and which we'll hear about later on. Can I ask you to introduce yourselves to begin with, please?
Mohammed Mainul Alam, I'm the Joint Centre Manager.
Mojlum Khan, I'm the Funding and Development Manager.
Of?
BSC Multicultural Services.
Fantastic. Okay, so I've explained what we're going to do. I'll ask you the first question, and I think you're going to be taking it in turns to answer. The first one is, how have you been looking after yourselves during the pandemic?
Well, I think it's been quite a challenging time and unknown factor for all of us. And in the beginning, like everybody else, we were very scared, not knowing what to do and what is normal and what is acceptable. But as things progress slowly and slowly, I think we started to realize that most important thing in life is that we as human beings is the relationship that we have with other people, and the material things are not so important from my point of view. So we started to obviously come together as a family, spend a lot more time with the family, because obviously because of the shutdown we couldn't go out. And I think what's been wonderful is that you realize you don't really need that huge amount of things materially to have an amazing and wonderful life. So it's been pleasurable in the sense that it's been a family gathering, and we have spent meals together, we have discussion, and from a faith point of view, the mosque has been shut, so we have been praying together at home. So from that point of view, it's been quite refreshing, and it's a time to reflect and think what is important about life. But obviously, it's been a very stressful time because there's many people in the community, especially the elderly and people who have been asked to self-isolate, and thinking about them and how do they cope. I mean, one of the wonderful things about the community is that there are a lot of people who are willing to go out their way to help other people, and that's what we have tried to do. But equally, and there are many people who don't have anyone, and I think the heart goes out to those people who are suffering and in isolation. But we, as an organization, try to do small things that we could do to make life better for our local community.
Thank you, Mohammed. And Mojlum?
Right. Well, actually, some of the things Mohammed applies to me as well. But I personally have tried follow the guidelines, stay at home as much as possible, and yes, there is always when you are at home for such a long period of time. I can't remember anything like this, certainly in my lifetime. Happening where we've shut the whole country down, and you're told to stay at home and not go out or minimize it. So you got plenty of time for the first time. Well, I said there was a lot of time here to think and reflect about things that you often don't think about, because you're always busy, dashing off to work, meetings, this, that, all sorts of other things. By the time you come home, you're tired, if not knackered, and you want a bit of rest, have something to eat, go to bed, and you go over and over and over again, same cycles. Here was a time where you had a break from that cycle, if you like. You could think, reflect, ponder about unnecessary things as well as very important things. And some of the things that are minute, some of the things profound. And I coped very well, but it was this respect for time and health and wealth and well-being. These things seem to we take for granted generally, but this incident, this pandemic, brought home to me that we mustn't take them for granted. These are gifts to us, and we could easily lose them if we don't make very good use of them while we have them.
Thank
I
you.
think what was fascinating is that, when you go out in the street and normally people go on with their daily lives, what was amazing is that you went out to the street, you saw a fellow human being, and you stopped and chatted from my point, and that was wonderful. People took the time because they weren't coming out of the houses. whoever they saw, and even strangers had a conversation. I had conversations with so many different people because you're not seeing human beings outside your family. And that made me really feel good, because that's it. At the core of it, we're all human. We all have a need to communicate with others, be in a social setting. And that was refreshing and wonderful.
You both have a glass half full attitude to life, seriously. It was a great time to reflect. You're right. You were following guidance, which is fantastic as well, and the right thing to do. And of course, you were thinking about those who weren't as well off as yourselves in terms of being able to spend the time reflecting and thinking about the important things as well as unimportant ones. And you're right, Mohammed, you know, going out on walks during that first lockdown and seeing so many people walking normally see, it was a different kind of community out there, wasn't it? My second question is this, so I don't know which one of you wants to answer it first. Has BSC Multicultural Services been able to do anything differently during COVID?
Well, look, all unexpected and difficult situations bring out often the best in human beings. You know, a lot of innovations, inventions, a lot of whether technological or others came about because often human beings were challenged or put into a corner, if you like. So this came obviously very unexpected. As an organization, we had having celebrated 20 years of BSC, November time, 2019, we were looking forward to a whole range of activities to deliver and plan during 2020. And then as those cases were and the news about this virus was spreading in different parts of the world, naturally we were thinking, well, is it going to be just in those parts of the world or not? And come March, suddenly we, I think it was 23rd of March, we had the lockdown, and all our plans for the whole year basically in one go went out of the window. And then you had to really rethink the strategy, contact, communicate with funders, look at how to repurpose a lot of the activities in the light of the new circumstances, not only for the organization, but for more importantly for the people, our diverse client group, because here there were people who are actually work in factories as taxi drivers, open up shops, run their restaurants, whole range of businesses, both professional as well as manual jobs they perform. Suddenly everybody's in the same position. But some people who are generally speaking well off and have got some savings, they can always get by. If it's 5 months, 6 months, or even a year, they might get by. But for those who people have to go to work from day to day, from week to week, and their earnings and their all their activities in terms of shopping, food, everything depends on them going to work. They've suddenly found themselves in a no man's land. How are they supposed to cope? Would there be any support from the government or from local councils, authorities, from local voluntary sector organizations? All these questions were being asked. We were being inundated with phone calls, with help and support. So hence, trying to rethink with guidance from our office bearers, staff, volunteers, saying, look, what are we supposed to do? In normal times, we do a whole range of activities, major events, small projects, but here suddenly you had to absolutely rethink everything. Number one, we had to look after ourselves, of course, and our families, and abide by the guidelines. At the same time, how can you, while following all these guidelines and doing all the right things you're supposed to do, help the people who are stuck in their homes?
school run and they're not going out to work, and that school run is sufficient to sustain them. So it's been a godsend in that respect, the school runs.
Thank you, Mohammed. Mojlum?
I would say, look, with BSC Multicultural Services, our client group generally are those who are some of the most disadvantaged and vulnerable groups in the county. There's no doubt about that. And the reality is, what this pandemic has brought home to us is that in emergencies, it seems the society is actually kept going by people who are the most vulnerable and often the most disadvantaged. So whether it is the nurses that are struggling and putting their lives at risk by going into hospitals to fight COVID-19, whether it is taxi drivers taking people from A to B, whether it is the food we eat, the food that we eat and buy from the supermarkets don't appear there by magic. We've got people, factory workers, who make sure the factories, the chickens are being, prepared to go into supermarkets. The potatoes are being washed in the farms and graded and packaged to send off. These are the people. These are our clients groups. So these people actually have not been sitting at home and reflecting and thinking or pondering over how to manage. They had no time for that. They were more busier than ever. But these people, they actually are human beings like you and I and the rest of us. And they were putting their lives at risk during this very difficult time. And to be able to give some support to their families and to reassure them and to say, look, we are here to support you should you need us, whether it is over the telephone or a WhatsApp or over calls like this one. We've made as much as possible, made ourselves available to our client groups, and the feedback we're getting from them has been very positive. Very positive. I mean, I know my colleague Shaira has even continued to see clients with prior appointments where we had to outside the lockdown. So there have been some people who are desperately needed that face-to-face support. So with masks on, social distancing, and all the other guidelines in place, she's carried on seeing clients because these were emergency cases. And if we didn't help them, they would be in dire difficulties at home with all kinds of issues. So it's very difficult to answer this question without talking for hours.
No, of course. I mean, and talked about NHS and key workers, but we've got volunteers who are out there doing this, even knowing when they know that the risks that are out there. It's amazing courage that people have shown just to be there for others. And of course, this human touch, this face-to-face element that's so much missing is so necessary for people, as you say. Can I you probably not completely described how varied your clients are. Can you mention some of the other work that you're doing, like, for example, supporting homeless in the town?
Absolutely. Soup Kitchen in Ipswich, we've been working with them for many years and we've got excellent relationship with them. Sadly, we have got a large number of homeless people in Ipswich. We wish that wasn't the case, but the reality is we've got so what we've done in the past, we've worked very closely with them, but during this current crisis, we've gone out of our way to work with them to make sure that they've got like a lot of they're sleeping outside in this cold weather. So we thought, what is the best thing we can do to support them in this in the situations, in the condition they find themselves? So we've got hats, woolen hats. We've got extra socks, basic toiletries, toothpaste, that type of things. We've made so these toiletry packs, winter packs, hot water bottles. We've put all kinds of things in these packs and distributed to them. And when you go and meet them and you just hand these over to them, it hits you hard. And it really hits you hard, because you look at and you think, hold on a minute. Some of these people, over the years we've spoken to them, some of them have been previously professionals. Very hard-working, very successful people. Life throws all kinds of things at us. And suddenly, we lose track of things. It throws off track. And people find themselves in very difficult situations. And it is very important in this organization for us to be non-judgmental and go out there and give that support. So not only to the homeless, but also we've got a large number of elderly clients. So our befriending scheme supports over 100 elderly, particularly in the BME communities. And they normally would attend our exercise sessions, chair-based exercise classes. They would be taken to outing in the local parks and like healthy walks and all sorts of other activities we would be running. But now in this current circumstances, they are not even allowed to see family members. So loneliness and isolation, a whole range of other challenges. We've tried to not only go out of our way to help them with food packs and winter packs and other things, but from time to time encourage, keep in touch with them via telephone and other things. And they've appreciated that.
I think we really wanted to give some hot food to the homeless, but it's because the police don't want people gathering. So we are only able to give food packs that doesn't contain any hot food. So it's a sadness, but we've been talking to St. Mary Tower, Reverend Charles Jenkins. And one of the things I'd like to say publicly is that thank you, because they've given us a room so we can store our food packs in there completely free. So that was very kind of Reverend Charles Jenkins. But they're having a homeless shelter in the winter, in the Christmas period. So we are talking to them about providing hot food for those people who are staying overnight. So that's something we're trying to work towards. I think for us, sorry, Andy.
No, that's fantastic. And it's great that you're working with other community services. It's brilliant.
Yes, yeah, so we have given, we have helped out other charities ourselves, and we've been helped in turn by other charities. As I say, the humanness of the people, coming together as a community is refreshing and it's inspiring as well.
Fantastic, really. It's very sobering, but it's also very uplifting what you've described. Can I go to the last question then? And this is looking ahead to the future. How has the pandemic affected your organisation and other similar community groups such as yours?
I think what we have realised is that there is still always going to be work needed to be done. The work may be different, but in terms of the community will face challenges. And the question for us is that the way we have been funded over the last 20 years, and the reason we survive, is that we look at what is the need in the community, and we try to find a way to service that need. We don't tend to get a funding and then see how can we deliver this course and who can we find, who can we enlist. So the process has always been see what the need is at the community level, see if there's any funding available, go and deliver that. So realizing ambition is a huge project for us. That was doing the training, the football refereeing courses, and many other sporting activities. That has been rescheduled to look after people in terms of the food packs and many other things. So in the future, we'll have to look at smaller training sessions and look at what do the people need and try to get funding for that and deliver that. And a lot of that may be to do with some of the things right now, which is social prescribing. So there may be more work towards to that. So always we tend to see what is the need of the people of Suffolk, how can we deliver that need, and are we in a place to deliver a service that could benefit the community, and that will continue.
Fantastic. And that's very wise. Thank you. Well, last words?
Right. Well, I'll just add to this what Mohammed said. I think from our point of view, this crisis challenged us, and we found ourselves flexible enough to adapt, change, and respond to the new challenges faced. So that is good. But going forward, we know the economic impact of this crisis is going to be huge. And therefore, some of the most vulnerable and disadvantaged people in our communities, sadly, are going to continue to bear the brunt. And so organizations like BSC Multicultural Services and others, if we thought we were doing good work, our work is, because we're going to have to prepare very intelligently, wisely, build more partnerships, link up with other organizations, create synergy where needed, because we will only be able to face the challenges, the economic challenges and the social challenges of this crisis if we work together, and if we come together, and if we start sharing learning, experiences and resources. And that is a challenge for not only this organization, but all other organizations out there, because if a previous crisis, economic crisis, took decades to overcome, this is going to be even bigger. And so there will be in the future possibly less resources available. And that means a whole range of organizations, we have to work together if we are going to get by in the future, get to the other side successfully.
Right. I mean, the pandemic has done two things, which is what you've just described. Is it's exposed pre-existing inequalities, and it's also caused them to broaden as well. And we need to do something about that, don't we?
Absolutely, indeed.
Thank you so much for your time. I know you're so busy, and you're probably off to do another soup kitchen run this evening, I imagine.
Yeah, we have one this evening. Yes, we'll be going out about 7:30.
Thank you again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
For
Thank you very much.